You know, it sounds absolutely wild today, but two of the world's most bitter enemies were once best friends. We're talking about Iran and Israel. And this wasn't just some casual thing. It was a deep, strategic, and super secret alliance.
I mean, look at the picture today. Public threats, a scary shadow war, but if you rewind the clock, you'd find a secret history where their leaders met in disguise, they shared intelligence, and they built massive projects together. They were basically best friends in a really tough neighborhood.
So the billion-dollar question is, how on earth did we get from there to here? How did one of the strongest, most secret alliances in the region just completely fall apart and turn into one of its most dangerous conflicts? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
To really wrap your head around this, we have to go back in time, to a point when the Middle East looked completely different than it does today.
Okay, so after World War I, the old Ottoman Empire collapses, and all these new forces start to bubble up. The biggest one, Arab nationalism, this big movement to unite the Arab world. And then, in 1948, the State of Israel is born. Suddenly, you've got two clear outsiders in the region.
So on one side, you had Iran. Now, Iran was an ancient, powerful nation, but it was Persian, not Arab, and it was mostly Shia Muslim, not Sunni, like its neighbors. And on the other side, you had the brand new Jewish state of Israel. Both of them were surrounded by Arab nations, and both were really worried about a unified Arab bloc, especially one led by Egypt's super charismatic leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser. You know the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Well, for them, it became a survival strategy. And this shared feeling of being the odd ones out, it didn't just lead to some vague understanding. Oh no, it led to a formal, strategic alliance.
So Israel's very first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, came up with this absolutely brilliant strategy. He called it the peripheral doctrine. The logic was pretty simple. Since we're surrounded by hostile Arab states, let's go make friends with the powerful non-Arab countries on the periphery, or the edges, of the Arab world. And who was the biggest, most important non-Arab player on that map? You guessed it, Iran.
And this plan started paying off almost right away. In 1950, Iran basically recognized the State of Israel, becoming the second Muslim-majority country to do so. Now, it wasn't a big public ceremony with flags and handshakes. It was more of an open secret. Everybody knew, but on the down low. The Shah of Iran even let Israel open a huge mission in Tehran that was, for all intents and purposes, an embassy.
And this quiet understanding just exploded into what you could only call a golden era of cooperation. I mean, it touched everything, from spies and weapons to oil.
The security partnership was incredibly close. I mean, get this. Israel's legendary spy agency, the Mossad, actually provided the key training for the Shah's infamous and pretty feared secret police, Savak. They were constantly sharing intel, Israel was sending Iran advanced weapons and training their pilots, and they were even working together to develop missile technology. The level of trust was just off the charts.
And here it is, the single greatest irony in this entire story. The exact same Iranian nuclear program that Israel now sees as an existential threat was, in a way, a gift from them. Seriously, under the Atoms for Peace program back in the 60s, it was Israeli scientists who helped train Iran's very first generation of nuclear physicists. How crazy is that?
The partnership was also about money. Israel desperately needed oil, but its Arab neighbors had a total boycott against them. Iran had tons of oil, but they couldn't get it to Israel because Egypt controlled the Suez Canal. So what did they do? They teamed up, co-funded, and built a massive, secret pipeline right across Israel. Think about how genius this was. Iranian oil could now completely bypass their shared enemies, fuel Israel's economy, and then be sold on to Europe. Both countries made a fortune.
The whole relationship was also really personal and super secretive. High-level meetings were happening all the time. There's this legendary story of Prime Minister Ben-Gurion landing in Tehran wearing a wig just so he could slip by the media and meet with the Shah without anyone knowing. It was like something out of a spy movie.
For decades, this secret alliance seemed totally rock solid. And then, in one single fateful year, everything changed. Forever.
That year was 1979. The Iranian Islamic Revolution didn't just change Iran. It completely rewired the entire Middle East.
The revolution's leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, had a worldview that was the absolute polar opposite of the Shah's. For him, that strategic alliance with Israel wasn't an asset. It was a stain. He famously declared that Israel was the enemy of Islam, and just like that, decades of secret friendship were completely erased.
The change wasn't gradual, it was immediate and dramatic. The Shah was out,
The Israeli mission in Tehran was stormed, and in a hugely symbolic move, Khomeini handed the keys to the building over to the Palestine Liberation Organization to be their new embassy. PLO leader Yasser Arafat was then welcomed in Tehran like a conquering hero. The message to the world could not have been any clearer.
But the story doesn't just stop there. The relationship didn't simply end. It spiraled down into the active, hostile rivalry that we see playing out today.
And here's one final, unbelievable twist. A year after the revolution, Iraq invaded Iran. And guess what? Old habits die hard. Even under Khomeini, Iran was desperate for weapons. And Israel, seeing a golden opportunity to weaken its old Arab nemesis, Iraq, secretly sold them weapons. So, for a short time, the enemy of my enemy was, well, still a friend of convenience.
I mean, this chart really says it all. It was a complete 180-degree turn. The relationship went from secret ally to arch-enemy. Foreign policy flipped from pro-Western to anti-Western. And that nuclear program, which was once a symbol of cooperation and prestige, became the absolute center of the conflict.
Because once the long, bloody war with Iraq was over, that nuclear program took on a whole new meaning. For Israel, the very same technology they had once helped create was now in the hands of a regime that had officially declared them an enemy. That was the point of no return, and it kicked off the shadow war of sabotage and assassinations that is still going on right now.
It is truly one of history's most stunning reversals, from a secret alliance born out of shared fear to an open conflict that could set the entire region on fire. It just leaves you wondering, what in the world could the next chapter of this unbelievable story possibly hold?